Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. What I'm observing is that even the haters of XRP, and actually it doesn't even have to be haters of XRP. I mean, yeah, there's the Bitcoin maxi types out there, but even just people who are kind of apathetic towards XRP's existence, just don't really care. There are so many people that have come around to the idea that XRP is going to Moon. And yeah, I know there's this sentiment out there, and sometimes people don't want to hear it and they get grumpy when the price is down, and in the moment today we're in a down day, and I understand that XRP recently was at over 90 cents, and it's currently at 51 cents at the time that I'm recording this, and everybody was expecting all-time high, when of course the reality of the situation is that we knew, and I talked about this before the end of the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit, XRP has only reached those types of highs and those crazy bursts at times when we were in a bull market and Bitcoin's leading the way. So this is no different. This doesn't mean there's something wrong with XRP or anything like that. But some people, not all of you out there, I know some of you are just as positive as me, but some people get a little bit mopey about that. But just because things feel down, it doesn't mean that even the haters, understand, there's some people who are mopey in our community. And just consider, even some of the XRP haters are more bullish than some of you mopey XRP holders out there. And I'm positive, I couldn't be more optimistic for the future here. And it's just interesting. I mean, there's such an article on the screen here. Not that this guy was necessarily a hater, but the guy they're covering, more of a Bitcoin guy. And he's like, yeah, XRP's going to moon. So here, the headline is, prominent Bitcoin investor accumulates XRP, says moon in sight post-lawsuit victory. And then there's also this from the Crypto Basic. Expert anticipates 950% XRP surge to $5.50. Identifies inverted hammer on XRP 2-month chart. Oh, and then there's also a story from the Daily Hodl highlighting perspective from Dan Moorhead, who runs Pantera Capital, which is the first crypto hedge fund in the United States. Dan Moorhead was talking about where he thinks Bitcoin's going to go, which I'm always curious about. I'm not that excited about Bitcoin, but I hold it happily. I have been since 2017. I know that it leads the market. That makes me extra curious about what it's going to do. And he has, let's just say, a lot more than a little optimism. He's got a ton of optimism. And he also happens to be a guy that's very pro-XRP. And in the past, he had stated that if he says, if you fast forward another decade, XRP would be one of a dozen or so cryptocurrencies that's going to be around and thriving. And why did he say that? Because of utility. There's so many reasons to be optimistic. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, as I record this, markets are down. XRP is down to 51 cents, about 2.65% over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin's down to $26,106, down 4.34% over the last 24 hours. And I'll show you, for those of you that care to look, here's the 24-hour chart for XRP. Here it is for Bitcoin, and I can just flash back and forth between the two. You can see they're doing the same thing. And the only thing I wanted to note here is that what prompted the downside price action today, it was the news about the Bitcoin spot ETF applicants, their applications have actually been delayed by the SEC, which shouldn't be that surprising. Like a delay tactic here. Now, ultimately, they're all going to get approved. I think ultimately it's just a matter of time. They're all going to get approved. And I don't want to talk about this in depth because I that was the actual topic of the last video. So if you want to know more about the news and some of the specifics and additional thoughts on it, check out my very last video. But I did want to mention it here since it did impact price, and I didn't talk about that in the last video so much, not as much anyway. But that is why we're seeing this. It's not some sort of indication that something's wrong with Bitcoin or markets in general or XRP specifically. It doesn't matter. The market's moving in tandem. None of the fundamentals have changed. Looking fantastic so far as I can see here. And here we got the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 52 out of 100. So it's neutral at least. Those lovable, cuddly little retail lemmings out there don't know what the hell they're doing, don't know their left hand from the right hand, but they're not in fear anymore. And that'll help me to sleep easier tonight. They're neutral. They're feeling neutral. That's good. So into this story now, prominent Bitcoin investor accumulates XRP, says moon in sight post-lawsuit victory. Top Bitcoin trader Elite Crypto is bullish on XRP and believes it has moon potential if Ripple wins the SEC lawsuit. In a recent tweet, a prominent Bitcoin trader in the crypto community expressed his bullish stance for XRP. The trader with X handle Elite Crypto proclaimed that he holds a substantial amount of XRP. And so here's the actual post on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm holding a bag of XRP in my portfolio, and I have kept buying during the dumps due to SEC cases. At first, there was this major drawback with them, and still is, i.e. the large number of tokens held by Ripple Labs itself, which makes it more like centralized. Okay, so we already got a pause right there. This is the type of stuff that you're going to see from the people that really don't like XRP, but they hold it and they recognize that it's probably going to be worth way more in the future. That's what this guy obviously believes. He thinks it's going to absolutely move. That's his expectation here. But he's still got the Bitcoin maxi style of argument of, but Ripple's got that much to make that centralized. But it does not make it centralized. And he's failing to differentiate between the idea of a concentration of a cryptocurrency versus a centralization of a cryptocurrency. Because you see, the XRP ledger is decentralized, and it is not proof of stake. So the amount of a crypto held doesn't give you any sort of special powers or permissions over the system whatsoever. You know, even if Satoshi had half of the Bitcoin in existence, that would not make the Bitcoin blockchain centralized. It would mean that there's a concentration of Bitcoin holdings. And by the way, there are Bitcoin whales. Satoshi has 1 million, it's estimated 1 million out of the 21 million Bitcoin. That's huge. That's gigantic. Can't pretend like that's not gigantic. That is a huge number. And so fine, Ripple has a larger percentage of the XRP in existence. Okay. But it doesn't make it central. I'm just noting that this is the type of crap that you will see. But even though they'll say stuff like this that isn't a good intellectual argument, they know. They will say that part truthfully. They believe it's going to be worth way more in the future. And so anyway, his post continues. But I always loved how they kept defending with these lawsuits on their heads, which also impacted their development very hard. And so let's pause and note again. This is a person who just isn't really in tune with what's happening with XRP or with what Ripple's doing. So here he's talking about Ripple specifically. And although I would agree, it certainly hampered development of RippleNet and on-demand liquidity as it pertains to the United States. The vast majority of their the corridors they set up, the payment rails, they were all, even before the lawsuit, it was outside of the United States, right? And so that just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it actually didn't hamper that. The rest of the world hasn't cared about the lawsuit, and it just, you even remember last summer, Ripple reported, you're talking, this is 2022, they reported that year over year, on-demand liquidity was up something like either 800 or 900%. So again, I'm just saying, it's kind of cute. Like, he thinks it's going to moon, but he doesn't know the things about the stuff. He's just not really familiar with the XRP ecosystem or Ripple. But it is, you know, I'll still take it. And then he says, now I'm pretty sure that they have built the brand well, good number of trade vols, attracting investors from different places, moon potential if they end this lawsuit banter once and for all. Well, I tell you what, the market already understands that the lawsuit is over and XRP has sufficient legal clarity, but I appreciate that he has optimism for the future. And then there's this. Expert anticipates 950% XRP surge to $5.50. Identifies inverted hammer on XRP 2-month chart. Now I'm just going to go straight to the source rather than read the article here. Now, I'm not a chart guy, but when people make bold predictions and put out notable expectations within our XRP community, when the analysts within our community are so bold as to do that, I'm happy to highlight it. Let's have it on the record here and see what the hell happens. Now, with the numbers he's talking about in this particular post, you know, I don't make price predictions. I'm just going to say none of this, the price figures, none of it sounds wacky. None of it sounds wacky to me in the least. In fact, I've said many times that I'm likely to start scaling out of my position when XRP hits around $5 and then be mostly out by 7. And then if it gets all the way up to closer to 8, there's a high probability I'm going to be completely out, because by $8 for me, that's over a 3,000% increase considering where I bought in. That's plenty for me, considering how much I actually invested, which is more than most people. That's right. Now, if I hadn't risked as much as many of my fiat dollars up front, if I had risked less, then I wouldn't be willing to sell most or any of it at those price levels. I'd be waiting for higher, personally. But I did. I put on way more risk than most people would be willing to, so that I would feel like I'm getting enough out of it to sell sooner. That's my strategy with XRP. XRP is my ride or die. It's the one. It's my biggest holding. Yes. So, but that's why I'm doing it. So if anybody's wondering, like, I know some people are going to give me crap one day when it comes and I start selling, and maybe there will be a day you listen to a Moon Lambo video, I'm like, I don't hold XRP anymore because I made a fortune off it. But that's the point. Like, isn't that why we're here? That doesn't mean I'll just not like XRP anymore. In fact, it just means I'll wait until it craters back down, and then I'll just start dollar cost averaging more and like do it all over again. So like I'll still be here. We can still hang out. But anyway, all that to say, I appreciate the chart analyst types out there because it's on the record. You're putting your necks out there, and I'm telling you, when your expectations about what's most probable to happen, when that's found to be incorrect, oh my God, social media people, they come after you. So I'm so glad. Like you gotta have thick skin no matter what. If you're on YouTube or if anybody knows you to any notable degree on any sort of social media platform, I understand that. But I'm telling you, the chart guys get it worse than anyone else in crypto. Oh, the chart guys. Because they're talking, like they're putting numbers out there about what to expect, and I'm glad I'm not doing that. But anyway, so this is from Greg Crypto, and he wrote the following. Anticipating inverted hammer formation as 2-month candle closes tomorrow. In just one day, the 2-month candle for XRP is set to conclude its pattern, displaying the potential configuration of an inverted hammer formation. Over the span of 426 days, XRP has remarkably upheld its market structure, inhibiting a progressively solid foundation rather than succumbing to instability. The chart unequivocally illustrates this trend, consistent with my earlier analysis, wherein I underlined the significance of the 80-cent mark as a pivotal macro resistance level. Establishing this price range as a foundation marks a highly bullish macro stance. A projected scenario would see XRP's forthcoming candle potentially propelling it to the $2.30 range. This achievement, if realized, merely serves as a stepping stone within the larger macro range of $3.30 to $5.50, indicative of a seamless continuation of its upward trajectory. The true pinnacle, akin to Valhalla, resides beyond the $5.50 threshold. Upon this achievement, dissenting voices and skeptics are aptly silenced. I love that. Okay, now I'm not making a price prediction, but yes, those dissenting voices shall be silenced eventually. Yes. And then they'll get noisy again as soon as XRP starts cratering back down, as any cryptocurrency will do after a gigantic rocket to the upside. But that's just because like it's ideological and emotional for them, and they're being children rather than intellectually honest. It's all that crap. And then he says, XRP Army, stay steady. Keep fostering an unshakable conviction in your hearts and minds. Well, I'll tell you what, I have nailed that last part for almost 6 years now. There's not a crack in my armor. I'll tell you what, I've never been more confident and optimistic for the future of XRP, and I was ready for a really, really, really long and bumpy ride. It's been a little more bumpy than I expected with the SEC, but I was expecting the long and bumpy ride, and so here I am, and that part's in line, roughly, with what I expected. I'm not the least bit impatient, and I know that's not true for everybody in the community, but for me, I don't feel the least bit impatient. I honestly don't. I very genuinely mean that. Because I like what's happening, it's in line with what I was already ready for in 2017. Like waiting a long time. Okay. So stuff doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, well, I'm not going to be a little baby. Be like, where's my Lambo? I want my Lambo. No. I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be a little baby back, bro. I'm just going to be a patient adult. That's what I'm going to do. Because it's coming. You know who else thinks that is? Dan Moorhead. Pantera Capital here. And so here's the headline from the Daily Huddle. Pantera Capital doubles down on big Bitcoin price prediction for 2025. Here's its target. Digital assets-focused investment firm Pantera Capital has the conviction that Bitcoin will spark a parabolic run, a bull run, after the halving event next year. In its latest blockchain letter, the firm, which has $3.5 billion in assets under management, says Bitcoin will likely increase by more than 466% from its current value, hitting 6 figures for the first time in its history sometime in mid-2025. Says the firm, quote, Bitcoin has historically bottomed 477 days prior to the halving, climbed leading into it, and then exploded to the upside afterward. The post-halving rallies have averaged 480 days from the halving to the peak of that next bull cycle. If history were to repeat itself, the price of Bitcoin should have troughed December 30th, 2022, end quote. And so the firm predicts Bitcoin will hit $147,000 $843 around August 13th, 2025. 480 days after the next expected halving event on April 20th, 2024. Pantera also says that based on Bitcoin's historical behavior, the King crypto will grind up to $35,000 leading into the halving event when miners' rewards are cut in half. Okay, so I'll just say, it would be nice if it came sooner, but like, I'm just going to be an adult about this. Like, this is always going to be my stance. I don't get to pick when it happens. I just have full confidence that all of the ridiculous, useful idiot retail lemming speculators out there that make important, decisions based, important financial decisions based on their fields, they're going to keep doing that. They're going to continue to do it. They're going to bounce around off each other, and then they're going to get all excited, and it's going to shoot off again. This is what happens, and more people come in, and as more people come in, a certain amount of them are going to be useful idiots. Some of them are going to be brilliant. Some of them are going to be just patient and resilient, like I am, and just recognize, oh yeah, hey, here's a market. Humans are going to act like idiots in any market, including this one. And then so like what I've decided is what I always say. I'm just not going to be like them. I'm just not going to participate in that nonsense. So again, like whenever the useful idiots make this happen, and whenever the floodgates open and institutional money pours in and supply and demand does its thing, cool. And hopefully it comes sooner. Credible Crypto thinks you're going to see a new all-time high for Bitcoin this year. There's only a few months left, and he's still sticking to his guns on that one. Some people think it's going to be 2024. We'll see if that happens. And here you have from Pantera Capital, they're thinking for Bitcoin, August 2025. So that would be, yes, 2 years out. Doesn't mean it's necessarily going to have to be. Maybe it is, but here's my point. I'll be as patient 2 years from now if it hasn't happened as I am right now, because that's what it takes. That's my outlook on it. And I don't need the money now, and I'm going to keep living my life, and it's fun to track this stuff in the meantime. It's fun to see this. It's fun to have skin in the game, and so I'm sure over that time period, I'll be buying certain things here and there. It's good. The point is the opportunities there. Like, the writing's still on the wall. I just don't get to choose when it happens, and neither do you. But that's why people have such a hard time with this, because they can't control it, and people do get impatient, and then they make financial decisions based on not fundamentally what's occurring, but they make the financial decision based on their impatience. And no thank you, sir, I'm Adam. I will not be doing that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.